Okay, all right. I'll call to order. Is that? No, he just waved me on, yeah. Excuse me, folks. I'll call to order the Monday, July 15th, 2024, back in open session, meeting of the North Andover Select Board. If you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Always great to see a packed house. First item is public comment. So per Select Board policy, public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between citizens and the Select Board. It is a citizen's opportunity to express his or her opinion on issues of town business. The board may respond to public comment by taking it under consideration when deliberating on an agenda item or referring to the item to the administration for appropriate action or response. Public comment shall be for a period of up to 15 minutes, with speakers being allowed 3 minutes to present their material. I imagine we have some public comment tonight. So I think what I'll ask is people be mindful of the clock as we go through it. And if we're proceeding nice and orderly, we can always talk about ways of extending it if it's so needed. So if you come for public comment, please just say your name and address for the record and speak at the microphone at the podium, if you don't mind.
I might be a little bit longer than 3 minutes.
We'll see how it goes. I have a slow clock.
Good evening. My name's George Corey, and I live at 81 Bradford Street, North Andover.
Welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and fellow board members, a number of the residents from the Bradford Street neighborhood are here tonight to present the board with a petition requesting that the town of North Andover take appropriate action to reduce the size, volume, and speed of vehicles using Bradford Street and to restore the safety of our neighborhood residents. This petition I will be handing to you represents 47 individual neighborhood homes signed by 78 residents. My wife Susan and I have lived on Bradford Street since 1978. Over the past 46 years, we've seen many changes to the neighborhood. The addition of the houses on the lower end of Bradford Street, residing in Bradford actually, the paving of the dirt road, the top part of Bradford Street from Barker's, where the milk farm used to be, out to 133. The addition of 4 subdivisions off of Bradford Street, Staten Way, White Birch / Charisse, Settlers Ridge, and the last one, Carter Field. During these changes, the overall traffic volume and excessive vehicle speed, and I use that word excessive meaningfully, has continued to increase in the number of vehicles, including large 18-plus wheel commercial trucks, using Bradford Street as a cut-through between Route 125 and 133 is now occurring, and it has reached a point that the safety and the quality of the life of the residents of the neighborhood requires immediate action to take place by the town. A quick summary of how we got to this point. In the summer of 2022, multiple residents had reached out to the police safety officer with regards to large 18-plus wheel gravel trucks that had recently begun to use Bradford Street, some starting before 6 a.m. Actually, it's probably even earlier than that. A traffic monitoring box was installed to measure the volume, size, and speed of the vehicles. As far as I am aware of, no one ever received an official readout from the town of this study that was done. Over the next 2 years, the problem has continued to get worse. And again, a number of residents raised multiple concerns to the police safety officer and also now to Melissa at this point, the town manager. In early May, another traffic study, May of this year, another traffic monitoring box was installed for approximately 17 days on the lower end of Bradford Street. Again, no formal report was received of this traffic study and no actions to mitigate the safety concerns that multiple folks were raising to the town has taken place. The end of May, my wife Susan and I, we requested in the early May, again, no formal report. The end of May of this year, Susan and I requested the town for the data/findings of these studies that were done over the past 2 years. Laurie, thank you. Laurie sent us the raw data from 2 studies, one from July of 2022 and the one from May of 2024. I believe there was also a third one, but she could not find the data at that point.
If we could start to move on, maybe.
Our son at that time, our son Nick, loaded the raw data into a spreadsheet and then was able to provide a more readable summary of that data for folks to understand. I believe at this time, all of you have seen that summary. It was put on the public folder. Again, we did not receive any official report or readout from the raw data from the town, and I believe there was none available for Laurie to send us when we requested the info. I will not go through that summary our son put out at this time, as I hope you have all had a chance to see it. But if there are questions on this, please feel free to ask either now or during the formal agenda item of Bradford Street later on. We're expecting the board will approve and fund the engineering study now required by Mass DOT to allow for the town to petition the state for the commercial truck exclusion on Bradford Street, similar to what the town has previously done on Chestnut Street and Great Pond Road, which were also being used, I believe, as cut-throughs to get around the 114, 125 corridor. In addition, it is our expectation that the board require the appropriate town management folks, i.e. police, DPW, the conservation, given that the upper end of Bradford Street lies in the protected watershed, to develop and implement an action plan to mitigate the traffic issues regarding excessive speed and volume in the next 60 to 90 days. Finally, I want to thank both Melissa and Laurie for their help in getting these concerns in front of the town management people responsible for taking the appropriate actions. The residents all have noticed in the last 2 weeks, additional police monitoring has taken place, and the DPW has done some minimal vegetation clearing around a couple of the traffic signs on the street. But as we all know, police monitoring is a short-term solution. We need a permanent solution to be put in place in the immediate near future before there's a serious accident or worse, a pedestrian fatality. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Excuse me. And this petition signed by all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. I am Brian Gross, Settlers Ridge Road. It's always great to follow my neighbor who's really set the stage. I'll be brief and to the point. First, I want to thank you and voice my support for agenda item number D under new business. I'm happy to see the select board is taking action to a significant safety issue, both for our residents and pedestrians. And I bring the pedestrian view before you, given that starting the study is clearly something that has to be done. I stress urgency, and I also stress several mitigations that do not depend on the study results. As George indicated, there has been some data. The data is in your public share. And there are some very alarming statistics that data, if indeed it's correct, which indicates as of May, 37% of the vehicles on that road were traveling over 50 miles per hour. Over 50 miles per hour. Several trips were recorded over 90 miles per hour. So this data clearly shows 52 large trucks traveling up and down Bradford Street, currently without a weight restriction. Now, my wife Meg and I walk from Settlers Ridge up past the water tower down to Carterfield, which is a beautiful walk in why we came to North Andover. And as the chair has seen, we present some videos that were captured over 2 days, random days last week or the week before, that give you a firsthand experience of the hazards we're experiencing as pedestrians walking our dog. Bradford Street, unfortunately, doesn't have shoulders. Bradford Street has been extremely overgrown with poison ivy and vegetation, which not only creates a challenge for the worker, but also forces us into the roadway. And I can't tell you exactly how many times we've been honked at and gestured with very few fingers, as well as shouted at, for being in the roadway when there's no other place to safely walk. If you haven't seen this area, this is basically an uphill from Settlers Ridge to the water tower. There is a three-way stop, which occasionally gets recognized. There's a lot of rolling stops, and I think as the chief will indicate and attest, there are also people that just blow right through that stop sign. There's another 100-foot hill that goes down the water tower into Carter Field area. This is a particular challenge in the mornings and the evenings in the spring and the fall when there's also a significant solar glare. So picture very narrow road, picture very limited sight lines going up the hill and going down the hill, and picture 22-wheel vehicles that could weigh as much as 80,000 pounds rolling through that neighborhood environment. So I think that it's safe to say that not only do we have a hazard, a safety and noise issue, but we have a hazard that's literally an accident waiting to happen. I urge the Select Board to take action on the no through trucking exclusion as well as act which may be a mitigation plan that can be done as that study is ongoing. Regularly and significantly do the vegetation cutback on Bradford, especially the south side between Settlers Ridge and Carter Field. Active stop and speed enforcement, which has been better, but clearly when we're walking the dogs, and as you've seen in the videos, this has not yet been mitigated. Consider a 25-mile-an-hour speed reduction, especially at the sight line limitation area, again, on Bradford, going up to Barker and then down to Settlers, down to Carter Field. And then also potentially inappropriate traffic signage like watch for pedestrians. Pedestrians yield to pedestrians. Caution, pedestrians in the road, and potentially road narrows. These things do not require the safety study to be completed, and they may actually be beneficial in solving what could be a significant safety mitigation on Bradford Street. So again, thank you for your time, and I think these are all needed before literally someone gets killed. Thank you.
We have anyone else interested in speaking, public comment?
I live at 68 Bradford Street.
Like, you can come up to the podium, please, so we can hear you on TV, please. Just your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Susan Carpenito. I live at 68 Bradford Street, and I have grandchildren that come to visit me. They literally get out of their car, we grab their hands, we cannot let them go because we're afraid that they're going to run into the street and get killed by a car. This is something that needs to be addressed now. I understand that you need to do the Mass DOT engineering study, but it's gotten to a point that I can't even let my grandchildren come to visit unless we're sitting in the backyard. Someone's going to get killed. These 18-wheelers come flying down that hill. Cars, 90 miles an hour down that hill. I know you probably are thinking, sure, 90 miles an hour? No, it definitely happens daily. Thank you.
Hi, Randy Hart, 151 Carterfield Road. My wife and I have lived there for since 2004 when it was first built. And she used to go for walks up and down, but I don't let her do that anymore. Out of Carterfield, then take a left or take a right. And the Irwins, they watch their dogs, and she's telling me she's got to pull her dogs over when the trucks come by. And
I have to say, I literally one time was walking my dogs. and
Could you
I
introduce yourself if you're speaking, please?
Sorry, I'm Chris Irwin, 105 Carterfield Road.
Yeah.
So a truck was, an 18-wheeler was coming down. I got to the side in the brush. I was knocked down from the wind of the
Just
truck.
stay close to the microphone so they can't hear you at home. So-
Oh, I was knocked down from the wind of the truck going so fast. That was, I mean, they go fast.
And there's one other issue too. We don't even know what the speed limit is on that street because there's no signs for it. And the other final thing, I was wondering if down the road we can, when you take a left out of Carter Field, there's a bunch of trees hanging over, ready to fall. All the roots are out, and I know that's another issue, but anyways, that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ann Mill, 31 Bradford. It's also sometimes very challenging to go in and out of our driveways because of the speed of the car. We do have some vegetation, which is great, but sometimes that blocks the view of the road. And when, cars are going or trucks are going very, very fast, it could be dangerous to just go. Sometimes we have to back up the car in order to get out of the driveway because we have no way to do it another way, and so it's dangerous.
Thank you. We're at the 15-minute mark right now. I just want to ask if anyone is here to speak on public comment on a different topic. Then I'm going to go ahead and extend public comment for another 10 minutes, if anyone else still would like to speak.
Hi, my name is Paula Andrioli. I live at 15 Bradford Street. I've lived there since, and I'm going to tell you my age, since 1957. So I am probably the oldest living resident of the street, if not one of the oldest. So certainly I have seen many, many, many changes in the neighborhood. There was a time when if a car went up the road, you looked out the window because you thought you were having company. Because there was nothing. It was very much country. And I know, certainly times have changed and that's progress, but it saddens me to see how the street has changed. I can't even get my mail out of the mailbox. And there was a time when I could go for a bike ride or go for a walk and really enjoyed it. And that's one of the reasons that makes North Andover so appealing. I mean, I'm a true townie. It's a town that I love. And I want to continue to stay here to enjoy it, the countryside. But someone really will get hurt. The speeds are excessive. I've been passed on the double line. The double line is fairly new. When they paved the road, I think about 7 years ago, they put the double line in. I get sworn at, I get the finger. I get pushed off the road, so I'm almost in the ditch. And, I hope because we're the last street in town, that doesn't make us the forgotten street. I hope we're just as important as the streets out country. I know there's been a lot of commercialization in the area, but we are still a country street with acres of land zoning. It's a nice neighborhood, but sad to say it's changed and not in a good way. And I do hope that something gets done before there's a fatality.
Thank you.
Dolores Betcher, 80 Bradford Street.
April Betcher Winter, just speaking on behalf of my mom, who's not crazy about speaking in public. My parents bought this house in 1979. We're at 80 Bradford Street, 1978, excuse me, and they've lived there since. My father passed away 3 years ago, so my mom still lives there. If not for our wonderful neighbors across the street, the Coreys, there are some days where I would consistently worry about whether or not my mother has made it back from a walk into the house. I actually have a tracking app on her phone so that I can make sure, because she lives alone, that she's making it home. There has been a few times that I've actually texted some of the police officers that my father worked with just to drive by and check in on my mom because, you don't see, and she'd gone for a walk and is not responding. I think also it's, there's been multiple car accidents. My parents were broadsided at the top of Bradford Street and Barker Street from a vehicle that was coming through, going from one end to the other of Bradford Street. Never stopped, never slowed down, totaled my parents' car. And just this little guy, he gets out of a car and we have to hold him. He can't walk to the mailbox with Grammy. He can't go outside and play in the front yard with Grammy. He can't do any of those things because there's vehicles that are flying down the street. I remember when I was younger that my dad used to park the cruiser, his take-home cruiser, at the end of the driveway just to try to slow people down, but that's a mitigation factor. People get used to it. They know that it's there. It doesn't last very long. A friend of mine's a police chief in another town, and it drives him nuts when his officers don't pull people over and actually, stop them, because as soon as they get out of the range of a police cruiser, they're going to speed back up, and that's exactly what's been happening, even with the increased police presence within the past couple weeks. So we just want it to be a safer neighborhood, and we know that mitigation can cost money, but we also know that mitigation can be simple things that don't cost the town anything other than a little bit of extra time and a little bit of caring and compassion, of proactive work. It shouldn't take somebody's house getting run into. It shouldn't take somebody's child getting run over. All it takes is somebody missing trying to miss a deer, trying to miss turkeys. The wildlife on that street is crazy. And if they're flying at 90 miles an hour, they go to avoid that, they're going to end up in somebody's yard, run over somebody's child, grandchild, end up in somebody's house. And I would hate to see us as a community have to grieve and react to a tragedy when we have this opportunity right now to be proactive and prevent tragedy through a little bit of extra work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
I'd like to make one comment.
Okay.
My name is Dominic Mangano. I'm at 324 Bradford Street, which is at the stop signs. Nobody's brought up the point where the trucks are still running late at night at 2 o'clock in the morning. These trailer trucks are coming down, and my house is right on the edge of that property right there, and we have the windows open during the night. They use their, I don't know what they call them, but they use their, what's that, jake brakes.
Hey, Jake Bray.
And if you ever heard of jake brake, it wakes everything up. I mean, there is no peace, even at night. There's cars going by there. There's and I don't mean slow. I mean they're going fast. I've been at my house since 1968, so I'm one of the oldest there too. I've seen it changed. I've seen people walking, and there's a lot of people that walk from across the street where Fajettas was. There's people walking up there. There's a lot of people using that street to walk up there, which is fine, but there's no room for trailer trucks going up there. There isn't. They just can't have trailer trucks going up in that street. You're going to be fixing that road up almost every year. They're going to fix up their road. There's potholes in every part of the road. So I think if something could slow the big vehicles down, and then when they do the study, maybe we can take those vehicles off. They did it in Haverhill. They did it over there, going to be putting it over by the Ward Hill area where they're putting it up there. They have restricted vehicles. It was in the paper 2 weeks ago. If they can do it, why can't we do it? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask this to be our last comment. That's all right. Thank you.
Tim Boland, 56 Bradford Street. I think everyone's pretty much hit all the points I want to talk about. I'm newer to the neighborhood, been here for 4 years, and just seeing the amount of uptick, whether it's backing my wife's car in just so she can pull straight out and not have to deal with anybody coming down the hill. I got 2 young kids, 1 and 3-year-old. We're cautious every day. 2 little dogs, they run out, they're getting hit. To his point, I have my camera goes off constantly. It will be 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, trucks. You'll hear them outside. They're hitting the tree just because they're newer going up the street. They're taking everything out. There's been excess speed. I walk the dogs numerous times. I've almost been hit. It's out of control. There's been times where I'm even talking about selling the house. I'm just sick of it. So please do something quick. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
My name is Amy Mastromonaco. I'm at 222 Bradford Street, and I purchased my house in 1999, so fairly new, but not that new. And I do walk the streets every day almost. And I will say, I believe that the speed limit is 35, and I've seen the reports of the excessive speeds. Nobody goes 35, but even if you're walking on such a narrow street as ours, you know, there's not a lot of room. 40 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour is too fast on a street like that. So yeah, we've seen the studies where people are going 90 to 100, but to be on the side of the road and have an 18-wheeler pass you going 35 or 45 miles an hour is very, very dangerous. And as others have said, and I experience it every day, jumping out of the way all the time. My children I've raised in that house, I never let them, they're 21 and 22 years old, never let them get the mail or retrieve the trash cans. That's how scary it is. And I grew up only a mile away from that street, and the reason why I bought the house was because It was a beautiful road growing up, and I used to ride my bike on it, and sad to say, I won't even let my kids get the trash cans. And they're adults, you know, so thank you for letting me say that one last thing.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all very much for that. All right, next item on our agenda is public hearing for, or actually moving to licensing. Can I get a motion, please?
Second.
All right, we are now in licensing.
Thank you. So we're going to start tonight with a public hearing for an application for Patrick's North Shore LLC for an all-alcohol beverage license. I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Is anyone here for the public hearing for Patrick's? Join us. Name and address, please.
My name's Constantinos Jarvis. I'm the one who filed the application.
Do you have anything you want to say to the board? No? Okay.
Thank you.
How's business going so far?
It's actually going great. Going great. We brought Harrison's back to life, cleaned it up a little bit. And no, we've met some nice people, and it's all going well. We couldn't be happier.
There's a lot of buzz about it.
Lots of buzz, yeah. Happy to see it,
One big
but.
sandwich, though, I'll tell you.
Is it?
Get 3 dinners out of it.
Okay, so this is for an all-alcohol license. The application is in order. Is there anybody else here for the public hearing tonight? No? Okay. Any questions from the board? No? All right, then I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good
We
evening.
will, well, we're going to vote, so. You can hang out for a couple more minutes. So we will now vote on the request for an all-alcohol license. Is there any discussion, questions? No? I'll
Well,
take
I will have a comment. I can either do it now,
Go ahead.
or I can do it later.
You can do it.
So, this is fair warning. We're a very strict town when it does come to over-serving or serving minors. We have a college up the street from you. So we feel as though that this is your warning. A lot of our liquor establishments get the machine because there's a lot of kids there who don't live in Massachusetts. Only a Massachusetts licensed is considered a good form of ID. So you would do at your own risk if you passed somebody who had a New Jersey license or something. So we probably would give some consideration if it passed a quality checking machine. There's no guarantee to that, but at least if you did that, there was some consideration to do the right thing. But so we're giving you fair warning. We take it very seriously, but we wish you well. So we're going to hopefully take a vote in a moment. But and we very much like that you're in town with the business. As you said, a lot of people seem to like it a lot. So
Thank you. And, from our position, this is our way of life. This is how we earn our living. So to pass a bad ID is really not a good investment for us to begin with.
no, it's
So
a lot of trouble.
I agree with the responsibility that goes with it.
Okay,
We
thank you.
appreciate that, and we are very happy to have you and see that life back into the building.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you. People will come for their first drink with us, not their last.
Yeah.
That's our goal. That's our goal.
That's definitely a good goal. That's a good goal. All right, excellent. So you're gonna do a full liquor license, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, then I'll take a motion for approval.
I'll move that the select board acting as licensing commissioners approve the application from Constantinos Chongers of Patrick's North Shore LLC for an all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license at 80 Chickering Road.
Second that?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Good luck, thank you.
Continued good luck.
Yes,
I know you're off to a
continue-
good start.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to close licensing.
So moved.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so on to new business. I'm actually going to have us go out of order and move item D up on new business, discussion regarding Bradford Street speeding and truck use, given the attendance is here. If there's no objection from the rest of the board. Okay, let's move to that, if we may.
Absolutely. I just want to go over my memo and the process that we have currently gone through. So since I drafted the memo, we did actually get the quote back for the study, excuse me, which was $9,600. Drink lemonade. And we authorized that work to begin. So we don't need a vote or anything tonight to start that work. It's actually already started. The engineering firm is Vaness, which is an engineering firm that we work with pretty often that has done a lot of these trucking studies in other communities. And so just to run through kind of what the process is for a heavy trucking exclusion, unfortunately, we don't have the authority to restrict heavy trucking on our street. We have to go through the state process, and a lot of that is due to the Commerce Clause. But basically what MassDOT requires us to do is a two-part analysis. So first, we have to show, and this will be done as part of the study, a suitable alternate route that's available, and it has to be approved by MassDOT. And it has to meet some conditions. It has to be wholly within North Andover. It can be in an adjacent community, but it would have to be on a state highway, or we would have to get written permission from the adjacent community. So those are the three requirements. So part of the analysis that Vaness Engineering will do is to figure out what suitable alternate routes are available. And then and it can't be a numbered route. So you can't ever have a numbered route be ineligible.
Be ineligible?
Ineligible,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And then along with figuring out the alternate route, the study will basically make sure that the street meets one or more of the following warrants. So it will say that there's a volume of heavy commercial vehicles, usually in the range of 5 to 8%, and it reduces the utilization of the facility and creates and by having an exclusion, there would be a substantial reduction to capacity and safety. So they have to prove that. Another thing that they can prove in order to meet the restriction, and that it's most likely granted when you approve more than one, is that the continued heavy load on these roads is deteriorating the roadway. And then, since we've had to, I think we've done portions of that road fairly recently, that's an easier one to show anyway. And then also, you tend to try to, for a third one, you can get a nighttime only restriction. I know one of the things we heard was that the trucks are all night long. Sometimes the engineering study will say that it didn't meet the first two criteria, but it does meet the third criteria, which would be a darkness exclusion. And so they'll restrict them only during special night hours. That's what historically I historically have never seen that happen, but MassDOT does allow for that. And then once that engineering study is done, it will be brought to the select board, which is why I put this on your agenda tonight. So you basically would have an idea of kind of the process that we were going through, and also so that you could hear from the residents about the issues that they're seeing. That request has to be approved by you and then is submitted to MassDOT for consideration. At that point, it would be a great idea to start having conversations with our legislative delegation as well, so that we can get a little bit of help moving this along. And as we know, we can't target through an exclusion like this one company. Like, we can't say no trash trucks. So we're not allowed to do that. And we can't say no trucks allowed in town at all, right? So we have to be aware of that as well. Like I said, we have committed to doing that study, and Chief Gray is here because we have committed to doing the increased enforcement per my letter. So since June 28th, they have had, is it 52, Chief? 52 selective enforcements done, and we will continue to do that. And while I was listening to public comment, I did email DPW to ask them to do some more mitigation on the roadway. And looking at the aerial maps, it looks like a lot of it really is on the side of the street heading towards Carter Fields, on the left-hand side if you're going towards Carter. So we'll start on that section. Trying to think if I'm missing anything else. I know there was some conversation about speed limit signs. Most of the chiefs I've worked with this just came up the other day on Mifflin, don't like to put speed limit signs because people do tend to actually think the speed limit is lower than it is. And so sometimes you actually see more speeding on a street because people are like, oh, I've always thought this was 30, but it was actually 35. And so sometimes we see that. In order to change the speed limit on that street, it would require town meeting action. So we have not accepted Chapter 90, Section 17, which in 2016 was released. It basically allows a community to reduce individual streets. We have not accepted that, but that's something we certainly could talk about accepting at next town meeting.
That's a thickly settled district?
Yes, that's
Well,
a thickly
okay.
settled district.
If we do that, does it still have to go to the state for approval?
No. If we do that, it
already
allows
state
us to
program.
reduce the statutory speed limit from 30 to 25, and you can do it two different ways. You can do it holistically and do one street at a time, or you could say we're reducing all streets to 25.
Which we've seen and it
That doesn't really work, right. And it has to be in a thickly settled or business district area. Great Pond Road, Bradford Street is certainly a thickly settled area based on the definition. All we need to do, if we do that, basically is we have to notify them that we're making that, we have to notify MassDOT that we're making that change. Typically, in other communities that I've worked in that have accepted Chapter 90, Section 17C, what you would see is that request would go before a traffic commission of sorts, and then there'd be a kind of, which is usually the chief and the fire chief and DPW are the three people who sit on that commission, and then they discuss basically whether or not, in public meetings, whether or not they should be changed. Am I missing anything, chief? Okay.
Does anyone have any questions for Melissa right now?
Okay, so truck traffic has been limited on Great Pond Road already? Is that what I heard during public comment? No. Okay. I was just wondering how they were getting to Bradford Street if they'd been limited on Great Pond Road. So,
We'll probably come
but
out
we
133.
we cannot reduce truck traffic on Great Pond Road because it's a numbered road. It's a numbered roadway. It's 133, right? Yes. Okay, that was just a clarification. Numbered roadways are not eligible for restriction. Okay. Now, that's not to say that at some point historically, a sign was put up that said no heavy trucking, because that does happen in communities. So I can't say that that hasn't happened, but that's a numbered roadway, so it would not be eligible for a restriction. Okay. Yeah, like 125.
Oh, okay, like a highway.
Yes, highways.
Oh, okay.
basically, yeah.
That's what I would have called it, a highway.
But I don't think, when I think of Great Pond Road, I don't think of Great Pond Road as a highway.
No,
but it is 133.
It's technically 133.
But it's technically a numbered
And that's what the
roadway.
trucks are doing. They're cutting from 133 and cutting instead of
Yes.
going all the way out to Butcher Boy, they're
They're
going.
missing the light and going
Yeah,
out.
and they're
I
trying to
agree.
cut the corner.
Yeah.
So my only other comments, I guess, do we think, and this is to the chief, I guess, do you think that the radar signs help, the ones that show your speed?
Chief, why don't you go sit at the little table?
Sorry.
Sit in the torture chair. Oh, you didn't hear you said, he's
There's a twofold, they do, in my opinion, they do help. On Main Street, you saw the sign
Yeah.
coming down
Yeah.
25, but you also have the people that are saying, well, it says 35, I wonder how fast I can go and get a registration on that sign. So we have to kind of restrict it after, like, say 60, that we can't tell them how fast they're going, but yeah, people do both, so.
Okay, but they're
I do think they're more helpful than not.
It helps me slow down.
Because I mean, especially on those long country roads, I think that they're helpful.
We can put one of those there. Right now, we have it up on Mifflin, but we can move it from Mifflin to there once we
Don't we
finish
have
on
the
Mifflin.
little ones that just go on like
The permanent ones?
telephone, the solar
We
ones?
don't really have permanent ones. We just,
No?
we have temporary ones we move around.
Yeah, we're looking at the traffic calming devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The what? What's that called?
Traffic calming devices, so that's what we're trying to look into buying some more,
Okay.
among other things.
Are those the solar?
Yeah, the
the-
ones you see with the
little
radar.
ones?
They say your speed.
He's left the microphone now. See what happened? Back to the microphone, please, Chief. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
And, oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I guess I would only reiterate that my kids played soccer and baseball at Carter Field, and that intersection is really difficult for a sight line. So if we can stay on top of that
Absolutely.
vegetation, I will just reiterate that and it's the angle of the road, and it's all like so many things that come into play at that spot.
Are you talking about Carter and Bradford, or Baker and
Uh,
Bradford?
Baker
Baker
to,
and Bradford, yeah, that
so
is-
if we would come up Baker and Barker, sorry.
Barker, what did I say?
With Barker Farm, right?
Barker, sorry.
Barker. to take a right to go to Carter Field. Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
see this way.
I mean, you can see it in the aerials.
Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah.
That's it. I'm done.
Any other questions from the board?
No, I have a comment.
By all means, go ahead.
Having been familiar with that road for a very long time, probably my whole life, being a longtime resident in town, it has certainly changed, and you all have brought a really good point. It's very dangerous. The road is not that wide, it's hilly, it's limited space for walking, as other people have. It is very dangerous, and it's a quality of life issue that you need to be concerned about your little ones, your pets, pulling out of the driveway and praying that you're not going to get whacked by someone going, it's hard to believe, but I believe you, 90 miles an hour was something you can't stop on a dime. But to me, I think it is a major quality life issue for the people there. I remember going up that road, taking my sons to where they had, the Barkers had their milking, and we would just sit there, and the kids would just enjoy it, and Mr. Barker would be waving and smiling, getting a kick out of, he has a small audience. But you could do that then. You could just park on the side and watch the milking of the cows and enjoy the farm. From what you've described is really scary, and our town manager has been working on this. Along with the chief, we do need to make some modifications and changes because somebody will get hurt really bad if they even survive it. So thank you so much to the Coreys and their son who came in from Somerville, I guess, to help support this initiative. But a lot of this doesn't just depend on us. There's the state's involved. So. But I appreciate you very much working on this because it is a really important issue. And there's young families that go there and play ball and everything else at Carter, and it's dangerous. There's no question in my mind that it's dangerous.
As
So.
someone who walks around in that area pretty regularly, I appreciate you guys all coming here tonight. I think you can tell that you have a lot of support from us, and now it's just a matter of like going through the process and seeing what we can do. So we hear you.
Do you
We
think
live
it
it.
helps if they write letters to the state boards that will be reviewing this?
I think once we get the traffic study and the analysis back, I was just gonna say, I just wanna tell people as I'm looking at this, that there will be another traffic study done by the consultant. So they do I just don't want you to be like, oh my God, another traffic study. They do a 24-hour automated traffic recorder as part of their analysis. So if you see that, that's what they're doing. And they also do a field inventory. So if you see people walking around kind of looking at pavement conditions, measuring the width of the road, that's what they're doing. So just don't be alarmed.
It's all good things.
Yes, I do think that once we get this report back, having residents reach out to their state legislators would be very helpful. Yes.
We'll get back to you, or at the time that we should have it in, you could call and Lori or town manager or other people will give you the phone numbers. And
They haven't given me a timeline yet on the report. Jim actually sent me an email today saying that he was trying to get a timeline. So once I have a timeline and we know when what agenda the report's gonna be on, I'll reach out to Mr. Chori. I think that's probably the best, Mr. Corey, the best bet, and then let you know what agenda it will be on, so that they can come back and see the findings, and we can talk about that
The
then.
other question I had is for our chief. I don't know if you're in any position to say about a few things that might help mitigate the problem as we go through this process, or are we already doing that? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. If you want to get back to us.
No, that's okay. I mean, when I talked to Melissa 2 weeks ago, she wanted select enforcement, which we've been doing around the clock. We've been, aggressively hitting the street. But again, like many people said today, it's a temporary fix. And for the streets that we were on the past few weeks that we're now on Bradford Street, they're already picking up again. So now, we're dealing with that. But yeah, I mean, the signs work, cruises work.
Yeah, cruises work.
cruisers work. It's just a matter of being there, you know, and you know, as far as the trucking goes, there's a ton of development going on in Bradford. They just took down Joseph's. Most of those trucks are followed down Bradford Street, and they go right there to go pick up the debris and stuff. So it's, you know, to find out where they're going, they're doing the Cedardale, the Burroughs site. It's just a ton of construction going on, so.
There is. Thank you.
Can I just say one minute?
When we're out of public comments, we really can't right now because of policy.
All I have to say is, Tim Roberts, 270. It's sad that these trucks go down Bradford Street, turn left onto 133 into Boxford, and right away, instead of going 35 and 30, they have to slow down to Boxford to 20 and 25 miles an hour on 133.
Understand.
Well, it's the Boxford Police that really enforce that.
They do, and that was actually, I guess, a couple of my questions here on, one, with regards to the thickly settled district, you know, Chapter 17C, and you may not know the answer to this. Obviously, the northern end of Bradford Street clearly qualifies, but I think I saw somewhere in the bylaw that it can be an average of 200 feet, so.
It can. And it goes by eighth of a mile, so
Okay.
it can change every eighth of a mile, the
Okay.
speed limit.
I guess my question was, could we do the entire length of Bradford Street under that?
So you could
Even
under.
the spot that has
under-
no people, you know?
Under the local option, absolutely.
Okay.
We just would have to accept the local option to do it.
Okay. And that
I
would go
can't
through
think
the
of
town
another
meeting
way. I mean, the only other
process.
way to go to go lower is through a school zone.
Okay, right, okay. So we're out of the public comment section, but I'll take a quick question. Is it,
Question regarding process.
okay?
The
Can I actually come to the microphone? At least it's a.
Pick anyone
yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
Jury Hall, 102 Bradford Street. In terms of the process, the comprehensive study report, once that is completed, is that going to be published and made available
Yes.
to us?
Yeah, it will be a public document. It will actually be attached to the select board agenda, just like my letter was today, but I'll share it in advance with Mr. Corey, so he has it.
So that we can review it
Yes.
ahead of
Yes.
time
Absolutely.
and so on. And will specific recommendations be made?
Yes.
Based on that report?
Yes, they will make a recommendation. The engineer will make a recommendation to the select board.
And
they'll tell us.
and will those recommendations be comprehensive? We're pretty much focusing on large truck traffic, but the traffic study that was just completed showed two people, going down the street at 100 miles an hour. So speed is a serious problem. I don't know, at our end of Bradford Street, there are no shoulders. At the lower end of Bradford Street, there are no, there's no edge to the edge of the road just drops off. And a Brooks student a couple of years ago was almost killed when her tire went off the road. She couldn't recover, hit a tree. That's a serious problem. And
Yeah, so, sorry, we're out of the public comment section at this point, so I'm gonna have
Okay.
to
It's just
stop you there.
questions, sorry.
It's-
You could send it
You
in
can
an
absolutely
email.
send them to me, yep.
That'd be
And
great,
I can
yeah.
share with you the scope of I can share with everyone the scope of the project if you send me an email. But basically what it does is it does a 24-hour consecutive count of all the vehicles using the subject street. They break it into 30-minute periods, and they look at commercial vehicles with a carrying capacity of over 2.5 tons versus all other vehicles. And then they basically create a map of the area. They go through all the physical characterizations of the street they're trying to exclude as well as the alternate streets. And they actually do an analysis of all of the buildings that are there. So are you pushing an exclusion, are you pushing an alternate route that has a school, right? Are you pushing an alternate route that has a playground? And so it looks at all of that, look at whether or not the exclusion street has a playground too. So those are all things that are included. They look at the zoning. They think about the proximity of probable routes and where trucks might be going. And then they also look at the types of traffic control that currently exists on the street.
Okay.
So all of that is studied.
And I guess my next question, thank you, sir. And I guess my next question would be, do we know how much room we have in the right-of-way to improve the shoulder, or, I'm not even talk about the sidewalk, just give a little bit more room?
Yeah.
At that point?
I don't know off the top of my
Okay.
head. I can certainly
I wouldn't
ask.
expect you to know, but yeah.
I can certainly ask for a survey of the street and to determine what the right of way is. My guess is that that's a very tight street and that the right of way probably is in the shoulder. But I can certainly ask.
I'd just be curious if there's any room to make just some more space for people to get to the side, yeah. Yeah, but even before getting to the massive investment of a sidewalk, if you can create enough, say you can create 8 feet of brush or something, just to give people more room to.
I'll ask
walk.
about the right of way there. I'm not sure. A lot of the time, the issue we run into is that the right of way is so small, and then we're in a situation where we're trying to get easements.
Yeah, or it could already be people's front
and
yards,
that's when
yeah.
it kind of shuts the door on us trying to do that type of work. But I
Yeah.
can certainly
Okay,
ask.
okay, thank you. Chief, you want to say?
Violating your rules, but I would encourage all of you to spend some time on Bradford Street.
We do. I have quite a bit. Thank you, sir. Yep. Thank you, sir.
So just
Chief,
in closing real quick, just so the residents of Bradford Street know, that study that shows the cars doing 90 miles an hour, in other streets in town that we've had the same study on, seeing those speeds, it's probably a cruiser. I've been on this job 25 years. I've never done 90 miles an hour on Bradford Street in my life. But it potentially could be a cruiser. I'm not saying it is, but more likely than not is a cruiser. So just keep that in mind, okay?
Okay, thank you, Chief. Okay. I think we're all good on that one. Thank you, everyone, for your patience and cooperation on that item. All right, back to the agenda. New business number A, vote on memorandum of understanding with the police lieutenants.
Great, thanks. So basically, we have settled with the police lieutenants. It is a 3-year deal. We went over all of the items in it in executive session. As you know, it's a COLA of 2% in fiscal year '25, 3% in fiscal year '26, and 3% in fiscal year '27. It's an increase to the detail rate, but also has a threshold that would allow us to work with a private vendor if needed. There's an increase to accreditation and night shift differential in further out years. It really is a lot of good language changes about bereavement leave and injured on duty, light duty, and performance evaluations that we're really very excited about. And we're very thankful to the lieutenants for being so amicable and agreeable as we went through this negotiation. It's really been a pleasure to work with them.
Okay. If there are any questions for Melissa, otherwise I'll take a motion.
I'll move that the select board approve the memorandum of understanding with police lieutenants as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just
All
thank
those
you
in-
for all your hard work.
Yes.
I know it's not
Thank
easy.
you.
Good team.
You make it sound easy.
Yeah, you can make it sound easy, but I know that a lot of work went into it.
She's so good at it, she just rattles it off without reading.
He's very excited about it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you. All right, next, vote on contract with Fire Chief John Weir.
Thanks. So, John Weir's contract is coming up. This will be his second contract with the town as the chief. It is a 3-year contract that actually will have kicked off on July 1st. His financial package will be a total of $185,331, which brings him close to the average in our comparative communities. He has 2 new language items. Other than that, everything else is the same. He is allowed a vacation buyback, which he could buy 10 unused days back at the end of his contract year, and that brings him parity in language that is in another contract. And then he has new language that's hours of work, and that allows him 18 days a year for professional development or to instruct, particularly at the academy. We rolled that out with one of our other employees this year, and it's been a big success. So it's a nice thing to have when your chief works at the academy.
Agreed, great. Okay, I will take a motion.
I'll move that the select board approve the contract with Fire Chief John Weir.
Second.
I have a motion,
We all want a second?
motion in a couple of seconds. Everyone's jump on it. Any further discussion or questions?
Just thank you for your past 3 years, and we look forward to the next 3.
We have put you to the test.
Thank you.
Storms.
The last 3 years we have.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Chief, thank you.
Okay, next up, item C, request from North Andover Athletic Association to change the date of the road race from October 12th to October 19th, 2024. We have any discussion on this?
Application's in order, you had previously approved it, it's just a change of date.
Okay.
I'll move approval.
I just have a quick question.
It's just because they don't want it over the long weekend.
Oh.
That's why yeah.
Makes sense.
Got it. I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent, right along. We covered item D. Item E, election worker appointments. We have a number of, is Dawn here? Dawn's not here?
No,
Okay,
this is just
yeah.
the annual appointments that we do for all of our poll workers. It is required by state law for you to appoint them, and we do it annually.
Excellent, okay. I'll take a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and they have our sincere thanks for working our
They're
elections.
gonna have a.
They're gonna have a
They're a
busy,
big
they're gonna have a
year.
busy
Yeah.
fall. A very
I
busy
feel like we
fall.
say that every year now.
Moving right along, vote to approve the memorandum of understanding with Haverhill for our kennel.
All right, I've asked Chief Gray to be here in case you have any questions that I cannot answer. Right
Oh, we're
now,
definitely gonna ask him that.
he loves
Just gonna
questions.
make some up.
Right now, we don't really have a location to shelter animals when we take them in. We've been a little bit homeless for about a year, maybe longer. And working with our animal control officer, who's fabulous, we've gotten to a point where Haverhill has agreed to allow us to house our animals there. And this agreement basically memorializes that, says that we'll be liable for any of our own costs that we incur from having our impounded animals there, as well as cleaning, et cetera. But because it's an MOA between two different municipalities, I like to bring it before you for ratification.
And they have the kennel set up all the time? Yeah?
So a lot of the veterinary hospitals don't want to do business with municipalities anymore because it's a pain, especially with 24-hour access. So when we get a dog in the middle of the night, hit by a car or something like that, we have to bring it somewhere. And so Chief Pistone in Haverhill was gracious enough to let us start using his facility. He just requested an MOU in place just in case one of our dogs bites somebody else. So they have everything set up. They're running it out of there. Our CSO has been taking care of the animals, bringing them there already. So it's a nice, well-working machine.
What was the previous process? We would go to a vet hospital?
We went to the Naha on 125. Before that, when Bulgers was in town, went to Bulgers.
Yeah.
So
That's what I figured.
And this is separate from the emergency shelter that we had to nix because of the budget?
correct.
How many animals are we talking about on an average basis? Any idea?
Get probably at least one a day, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, just people picking up stray dogs, and then they say, "Oh, I found a dog," and we have to get it and bring it to the kennel. Or if a dog gets or an animal gets hit, you know,
Oh, wow.
it's busy.
You
That's
gotta
way
see
more
'em.
than
I'm
I-
not sure how much you're on Facebook, but it's at least one a day.
I myself
Try
have
not to
found
be.
two.
In front of the car.
That's way more than I thought.
All remember, it was pouring rain, she was coming into town, and she got out of the car and got this dog. and
She saved the dog.
She
It's
saved
actually,
it. Yeah, she did. Pouring rain.
I also found a cat and a bird. Actually, I've had three. Poor Brad.
The bird, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, remember the bird.
I had to call him Burbird too.
Yeah.
It died, but that's.
He does a great job. So we're very happy. This is going to be a huge asset to us.
And to the dogs and the other pets. You're an animal lover too, we know that.
Oh, yeah. You know that.
He had a police dog for many, many years. So.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that the select board approve the memorandum of understanding with Haverhill for a kennel.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Thank you for working that out.
And our thanks to the city of Haverhill
Yes.
for working with us.
Agreed. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's approved. Do we have anything else for the chief on here?
Thank you, Chief.
No.
You're
You're
good.
Thank you very much.
Don't go there.
Other chief too. Thank you, other chief.
Good night.
All right, next up on the agenda, appointment of select board member to the Affordable Housing Trust. I believe this is to replace our recently retired Mr. Valancourt. Correct? Cheers, cheers.
It's a super fun committee. Laurie's on it.
I'm very interested in serving on it, so I want to put that out there.
And-
I
and
would
for-
love to serve on it.
And Dick is staying on just in the appointed
role.
position, so
Yeah.
he's moved on to, so, yeah.
So since you're so excited, Janice. That escalated quickly.
But that's okay. One step at a time.
Then I will move that the select board appoint Janice Phillips to serve as the Affordable Housing Trust, serve on the Affordable Housing Trust for a term ending June 30th, 2026.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
Janice.
sounds like you could be chair too.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get to a
Yeah,
meeting.
of course, the chair.
You've been voluntold. Yeah. All right, next up, item H, discussion regarding school deficit.
Okay, so we've got two things to discuss tonight. Both are just discussion, no votes. The first item is just a report back to you on where we ended the fiscal year, because as you know, July 15th is the day we close out. And I just want to start by thanking our interim superintendent Pam, her team, Lynn, and our team, because this could have been a much more difficult position if everybody hadn't been working so closely together. So as you know, in April, the North Andover Public Schools projected a deficit that totaled $4.6 million with $1.4 million in offsets within their budget. Unfortunately, as we moved forward, that deficit continued to grow, and we ended fiscal year '24 with a total amount that needed to be covered at $5.6 million, with only $1,059,000 able to be offset by the school department. Fortunately, we were able, as you know, to offset the entire deficit, so we did not end the fiscal year with an appropriation deficit, which was a huge deal, because if you do end the fiscal year with an appropriation deficit, it's basically a double whammy where your free cash gets reduced, and additionally, you're not allowed to raise your tax levy as much in the following year. So it was very important, plus it could have affected our bond rating, so it was very important for us. You know most of what we use, but I'll run through it. The Finance Committee reserve in its entirety, so $1.5 million. The Special Education Stabilization Account in its entirety, which was $750,000. And just a reminder that we had previously committed to using $220 of that a year, so there was additional cuts that would need to be made this year that have been made. We had $887,000 in opera projects that were canceled and then used as revenue replacement for the schools. We used $45,000 in APA to pay for our consultants that are doing 2 studies here in town right now. We did a town budget reduction through spending and a hiring freeze. We originally had committed to doing 10%, which was about $176,000. When it became apparent that the deficit was continuing to grow, we were forced to expand that. And it ended up being $587,712.58 that came from the town departments. That was more than 30% of the budget that was left when the freeze was instituted, and over 2% of the total government spending for the year. And just as a reminder, we had to use that budget capacity, so we were not able to use that for the August 8th storm deficit. So there's an additional $377,000 that we unfortunately had to take from free cash. We used $300,000 from the Amazon funds. We used circuit breaker relief, which we really didn't want to do because of the impact on next year. So that will be $160,000 that will impact the fiscal year '25 budget. And then the schools were able to offset $1,059,570 through their revolving accounts and grants. And so we were able to end the fiscal year. They have created a new fiscal year '25 budget that is balanced. It actually has not been approved by the school committee yet, so it's still reflecting as unbalanced in our system, but they do have one. It required $2.3 million in changes. They were able to come up with some new revenue sources and then made over $1 million in reductions and use the separation incentive funding from the town of $750,000 in order to make cuts in a way that would not be kind of doubly burdensome and have us impacted with unemployment costs, because as you know, since we are self-insured for unemployment, all unemployment costs fall on the town. And so that has been, in my opinion, a big success. We've worked really collaboratively with the employees at the schools.
And we're able to avoid wide layoffs by doing it in this manner, which has been great. I've been working on a draft MOA with my team that we've shared with the school committee chair, and we plan on continuing that conversation. I've asked them to try their best to have that settled by September 1st so that we're going into the next fiscal year in a really good place. That MOA includes monthly meetings where we review reports created directly from Munis, but that also have documents that are attached that would show any anomalies. I can run the Munis report showing where the accounts are, but I don't have the insider information to let me know where that, if there's something that is wrong and why it might be wrong. So, having that memo would be helpful. I'm recommending that that process continue for 2 years from the signing of this contract. So that basically would take us through fiscal year 27, the end of fiscal year 26, but beginning of fiscal year 27. I'm recommending and requesting that the schools create an indirect cost analysis document like we do for water and sewer, used to do for the Stevens Estate, where basically they figure out in the beginning of the year what they'll be charging to revolving and other special revenue accounts so that they know the funds are available and they can encumber those funds immediately rather than try to figure it out at the end of the year. I am recommending that they encumber all their salaries and any known contracted expenses at the beginning of the fiscal year no later than August 31st when their school year starts, and that those are locked and they can only be transferred by memo. Asking them to have, by law, written contracts for purchases and services over $10,000 and to bid all purchases and services over $100,000 in compliance with Mass General Law 30B. We're asking them to send one employee to be certified in public procurement and also to ask all employees who are authorized to make purchases to attend a public procurement training that we will hold. We did that 2 years ago or 3 years ago now for town employees. We're asking them to review their financial policies once that financial review with Clifton Larson is done, and to review those with the Finance Committee, to fully implement Munis, to review all of their fee structures to make certain that the fees charged cover all of the costs, and to continue to do that annually when they do the indirect cost analysis. And we're hopeful that by implementing all of this, along with whatever Clifton Larson recommends later this summer, that we'll have a much better year in fiscal year 25.
Done a lot of work.
Thank you. Yeah.
So has
The team has been great.
the team has been
Yeah.
great. It's the town side that's really helping out the school side. But they are our children. We want to make sure they
Of
get a good
course.
education.
Yep.
But it's been tough.
Yeah, it's been a tough few months.
But you've done a great job, and so did everybody who's working with you.
Thank you. I'll
on
share
it.
that
So
with
thank
them.
you.
Thank you.
Again, I feel like this is an instance where you make it look easy, but it was not easy at all.
It was not
and
easy at all.
Conveying that to the entire community is just, like, I can't hit it home enough that it is nothing short of a miracle that we could cover that kind of deficit. So
Absolutely.
I thank you for the creative problem solving and the, persistence to get it done, the cooperation of everybody on the town side and the school side. And I mean, I feel like we should get an award for for pulling that
I
off.
don't really give many awards for this.
I
kind
know.
of thing.
That's what-
But the thing is, coming off of COVID,
Yeah.
we can't let our children down again.
No.
Not that I'm saying that we did let them down with the COVID, but I think everybody knows it was really tough for the kids during COVID. And to have another year, or even maybe two, because we can't cover all of this, would be really bad.
And I think the department heads on the town side, I don't know if the sacrifice is always fully seen, but there's a lot of things that, unfortunately we couldn't do, or weren't able to start until July 1st, or, had to put off permanently. So I am very thankful to all of them because they've really been hugely team players, not just with this, but with so many things this year. And I'm very thankful for that.
Agree. We are too.
We are,
Yeah, and I think that we don't need to look over spilled milk again, but the deficit is larger than we knew in April. The offsets that they could offer us was less than what they thought they could offer us. I mean, that's hugely impactful to what the town had to cover. I know that we've had some conversations with department heads. The only one we have left is Chief Weir, but their understanding on the town side to just step up and be willing to make it work and know what a serious situation we were in with the schools and that we had to fix it
we're so grateful. We're so grateful to all of you for what you did, because we could have been in a really bad spot with the AAA bond rating, with facilities master plan too. I mean, there were so many things, so many layers that could have been, that didn't get affected. There's so much that got affected, all those opera projects that couldn't get done. I mean, it far-reaching, the impact that this had, even though we were able to cover as much as we did, so.
I remember saying at the time, we were literally cutting out $7 for police cameras. Like, we were getting every nickel we could out of this to make it work. And you guys found a lot of ways to find money, so it's
Every penny.
greatly, every penny mattered.
Literally.
Every penny mattered, so it's greatly appreciated.
Will you be bringing the reports to, like, the monthly report, is that part of the MOA?
Yeah, the MOA is that the monthly report will be sent to both the select board and the finance committee.
Perfect.
So, like I said, we're continuing conversations with them. The main thing I've heard is, understanding what a deadline would be for it. Like, we certainly don't want to do it forever either, right? But we want to make sure that we're having conversations over the next 2 years, making sure that we're really in the best possible place moving forward.
And I also want to reiterate what you said, that acting superintendent Pam Lothar has been wonderful.
She has.
Just watching her in action has been great to see.
She's doing a great job.
Okay. You don't need to vote first on this, right? We're good?
No vote, yep.
Excellent, okay. Next item, we do need to vote on the fiscal '24 budget reallocation.
Right. So as you know, in order for us to move around the town budget, we have to do this vote at the end of the year. Our budget is voted differently than the school budget. It's voted in clusters. And so during the fiscal year, say I want to move money from the fire department to the police department, I can do that. But just I would never. But if I wanted to, I could. But I cannot move money from the fire department to the town manager's office, right? And so in order for us to make those types of transfers, we have to come to you at the end of the fiscal year. And so what we're doing tonight is we are making those transfers, and basically we are taking money from, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 accounts that are all on the town side, and we're increasing 5 line items on the school side. So we're increasing salaries on the school side by $91,942. We're increasing salaries on the school side by $295,634. We're increasing salaries on the school side by $200,134. And then we have a situation where both Greater Lawrence and Essex Aggie came in higher than anticipated. So Greater Lawrence is $261,170, and Essex Aggie is $47,107. One thing that I've talked to the schools about is that we need a policy or procedure for students enrolling at Essex Aggie. In other communities I worked in, they had to go through an application process. It wasn't just automatic. Because what happens is not only are we paying an out-of-student rate because we are a member of the Greater Lawrence Vogue, we also technically are on the hook for transportation. So it can really be a budget buster, and this year we saw that. So we just want to make sure that moving forward we do that.
How many students does that account for?
I want to say they have 18 total.
And they're only eligible to go there if their specialty is not covered at Greater Lawrence, is that correct?
So yes, technically it's if their specialty is not covered by Greater Lawrence, but in some instances, Greater Lawrence could still end up being an eligible school for them because they offer all of the core programming. And so, in other communities, we would require like a memo or an essay basically saying that I need to go to this other school because I want to be a vet, and this is why I want to be a vet, and we would review those before we would allow them.
This is in the weeds and probably not your domain, but like what happens if once they're there, they can change. They explore a lot of different career opportunities.
Once they're in, they're in.
They're in.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, once they're in, they're in.
And, sorry, to go back to the numbers, this 261 and 47,000, those were unexpected?
The 261 and the 47 were not expected, no. I think more students went over to technical schools this year, and
Then we're budgeted for.
If you don't know, that's fine, but what is the, we are a member of GLTS, so we already pay,
we pay per student.
Okay, and so this is like the additional
This is
per
additional,
student?
yes.
Over what we were expecting?
Correct. So we pay a
But
percentage
we
of the
know
assessment.
how many apply, right? And like a year ahead, they know how many apply, so
Yeah.
they know.
They don't get their letters till after the budget is created
Okay.
on how many students you actually have, and so then basically what we get is a roster.
Okay. So, okay, I wonder if there's any way for them, for GLTS to, I mean, they really have to work with
Yeah.
our communities.
This is the first year that I remember having an issue there with this.
Just timing wise, if we
Timing-wise, it
knew,
was- yeah.
you know, that's not really fair, right?
So are we accounting for this in the 25 budget? Yeah, okay.
All right, it's an interesting process.
Will we see the new 2025 budget, the school budget, or no?
So, I've asked, so we had to roll the fiscal year. So it's rolled as the old budget. So basically, rolled in munis, meaning basically we had to open up next fiscal year so people could stop buying stuff, right? So we had to move forward before the school committee was able to vote. So the new numbers are supposed to go on to their agenda. It's not on for Thursday, I'm hoping for the August 1st meeting, where basically they'll run through what their new numbers are, and it will just be transfers between accounts.
Will we see, well, I guess.
So it will go on the agenda, so I would think, yes, that we will see it, and then it will come to me, because I'll have to we'll have to do the transfer so that I can send it to all of you to see. I haven't actually seen it yet.
I'm
but-
just
yeah.
curious. It's more curiosity,
Yeah.
like not
Yeah.
like, I don't mean to like micromanage it.
no,
I just,
you're good,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Right,
just-
like where,
I'm just
what does it
curious.
look like?
What does it look like? It's curious. It's very curious.
Yeah.
After all we've been through.
Okay. Is there any other questions for Melissa? I'll take a motion.
I move that the select board approve the fiscal year 2024 budget relocation as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up, approval of 2 minutes, June 17th and June 27th. Has everyone had a chance to give those a quick glance? Okay. And if so, I'll take motions.
I move that the select board approve the open session meetings of June 17th, 2024 as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the June 27th?
I move that the select board approve the open session minutes of June 27th, 2024 as presented.
I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you.
I don't like to make a motion if I'm the one signing off on. It's just- Something is just not right about that.
Okay, select board updates.
Great fireworks.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
to the festival committee. That was wonderful.
Farmers market's in full swing, 10 to 1 every Sunday. We've had amazing turnout and full house of vendors, so come on by.
And volunteers always welcome.
And every volunteer is
Yeah,
always
be careful,
welcome.
you might get grabbed.
Thank you to DPW for their response to the water main breaks this week.
Yes, they've
Yes.
been very
Weekend.
busy.
Yeah, they've been very, very busy.
Yeah.
They made fast work of Green Street. Fixing it.
And a big thank you to Chief, to Fire, to Police for everything at the incident over Village Green.
Oh, yeah, we haven't met since then.
We haven't met
that's
since
right.
then. Just a reminder of our sleepy little community and what can happen. So thank you to you and your entire team. So, okay. All right. No. And if there's anything else, town manager report?
Sure, a couple of quick things. Monday, July 29th, 6 p.m., we're having a planning board open forum on accessory dwelling units. It's at the senior center. There's a fun video you can watch with Eitan and Peter Boynton kind of doing a little show. So that's going to be
Debating?
great. We are seeking input for a wayfinding master plan that is grant funded, and we have a survey out right now. We're also updating our open space and recreation plan, and we have a survey on that. We have started our children's shows.
Can I start for a
and,
second? The open space recreation plan survey, is that closed or is that survey still out there?
When I created this on Thursday, it was still open, but thanks
Okay.
to, oh no, it's still there. You can still go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta hurry up.
It's limited edition. You gotta hurry, yeah, you gotta get on that. And then our youth and recreation children's shows started on the Common on July 9th, and our summer concert series started on July 7th, and we had a good turnout for both of those. I want everyone to join me in thanking Lynn Savage because she will be gone next time we meet.
Oh, no.
So she is retiring after 20-plus years of service to the town on July 29th, and she will be missed. And the new finance director actually started today.
And I also want you to join me in thanking Jillian Brothers, our admin, for her years of commitment and service, and wishing her well on her new endeavor, because she is, I know we're all in denial.
very sad.
It's horrible, but we do wish her well. She is moving, which is why she's leaving, so we're all devastated.
Okay,
will
but
be missed.
here's the question. Is she still gonna give us pens?
I hope she still sends pens. I know.
I'm kidding.
And then a couple of quick capital updates. I know it looks like nothing's happening on the library stairs, but things are happening.
I saw a big
Uh,
concrete
saw
truck there
one.
the other
Okay,
day,
good.
so yeah.
We had, unfortunately, there was a wait for the rebar, and so we were all waiting for the rebar to come, and now they're pouring concrete, and a lot of the work's not visible from street level, but Kathleen loves taking pictures of the inside and sending them over to us, and so there's definitely progress there, and we're excited that that's gonna be done. And McAvoy is gonna be closing for renovations, but slightly later than we thought, so not till July 28th, and the sports teams have been informed of that, and we had a great meeting on Mifflin Drive with the neighbors and had consensus about their sidewalks. They're gonna be getting a 5-foot sidewalk on one side of the street, all pavement. So all good things. That's
With the
all I-
bread pan curve.
Yes, with the bread pan curve. Yep.
Lots of paving work going on. I mean,
Lots
there's so much
Yeah.
that
paving.
DPW's
Yes.
involved with right now.
Tis the season for that.
It's a
but-
short season, so it's
Yeah,
good.
we gotta book it all in, but they are all over the place right
It's
now,
very
so
busy.
we thank people for their patience. And the only other thing I have is, I was gonna ask if there's any chance we could move the August date.
That was, I was gonna suggest the same.
Okay.
Depends which way you wanna move it.
I wanted to go sooner.
To the 12th.
That's what I would like.
Can we do the 12th? Can everyone do the 12th? Because for one, it's like, that'd be 5 weeks until we
Yeah,
meet
it's,
next, which just feels like a long time.
It is long.
I'm gonna have to check on that.
You gonna check? Okay.
Okay.
I think it's good, but
Yeah.
I have a visitor coming.
Oh.
One of my
Is there
sons.
something coming up?
No, not the baby.
You can, email Laurie and let her know, that's fine.
Just to be sure.
Yeah, and if we,
If not, I could probably maybe do it remote.
Yeah, you could
Okay.
jump on that, yeah.
Yeah.
and there's a chance we may need a couple of, small special meetings if we have more contracts settled, just because we don't wanna wait a month for retro. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Do you wanna try and keep a placeholder for the 29th, for 2 weeks from now, or no?
I think the 12th will be fine. You guys are going away. Oh, yeah, we're both away.
You're both
So
away.
you could welcome to do that, yes.
Enjoy your meeting.
Tentatively the 12th, and Rosemary will check her schedule.
Perfect, thank
That'd
you.
be great. Okay. If there's nothing else, I will take a motion.
Seconded.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.